It's a bit drastic, I know. It's been completely stripped down. This is my Prusha i3. It's been going nearly 3 years since it's been down to this level of bareness. The whole front, yeah, it's almost down to its complete frame, which I've actually got to strip it down to this 6mm plate frame actually has to be removed from the printer. And I want to drill mounting holes for the electronics box, which will mount at the back of the printer here, like so. That's one of the upgrades I want to do to it. The other thing I want to do at the same time is prevent the wobble, which I think you see that in the camera, but I'm going to put cross bracing back to the back of the Y-axis frame. I'm going to replace the carriage for the Z-axis, X carriage. Yeah, if I'm sounding a bit having problems thinking, it's probably because, let's have a look at the temperature. It's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it's 42 degrees Celsius in here. So yes. What else am I going to do to it? I do have the existing aluminium bed I'm going to put back on here. I'm going to switch to a Bowden extruder. I've got most of the parts for this. I'm going to start initially by stiffening up the frame with the threaded rod, which you can actually see it behind here. I've already purchased the stainless steel rod to actually do the stiffening brackets on there. Replacing these X carriage brackets, because the Z-axis lead screws are going to actually replace the proper lead screws rather than just threaded rod. I have issues with it wobbling. It also has issues with it moving up and down. I'll actually just show you that. You see that movement there, which causes issues with print resolution. Haven't decided. The electronics will probably stay. Probably stick with the good old trusty LCD screen. I'm not going to go for touch screen at the moment. I've got a number of other upgrades I'm going to do to it, and probably try and document them as I reassemble the printer. This is as far as it's going to get stripped down today. It's 40 degrees, so I'm going to go and cool down in the house with the aircon on. Yeah, I'll think about what other upgrades that I've got completed. Oh, the other upgrade is, I don't have it here, it's buried somewhere. I've got a external bed controller that's got a 210 amp rated MOSFET on it, so I'll be able to go back to switch mode regulation of the heat bed. I'll also be using a 24 volt power supply, a separate power supply, so this will be dual power supply. Seems overkill, but the big aluminium heat bed just can't heat up properly with 12 volts. I've had it going for an hour trying to get it up to the 100 degree operating temperature, and it's lucky to get to 80. So I'll be getting that all dialed in at the same time. Some of these other prints, obviously this is going to have to get replaced because it's warped. That was actually warped when it was printed. I'll see what other parts are starting to get flex and stuff in them, and probably print up new ones and replace them. Other parts like these are still nice and stiff. But yeah, it's going to be made into a better printer. It's had a number of upgrades over its life, but I need to strip the aluminium frame bare so I can drill the mounting holes for both the control electronics and the heated bed controller, because it'll have a separate mounting bracket that'll put on the side of the case, the frame. And the other thing will be here's the other thing. No, can't think of it at the moment. But yeah, I haven't decided where the second power supply is going to go, whether I'm going to mount it on its flat on the ground. It may end up mounted in line with the other one, but the first priority is getting the stiffening done. I'll mock all that up before I dismantle this back down to a bare frame, completely down bare frame. Get that mocked up, make sure I've got all the mounting holes I need for that, and then after that I'll dismantle it, because that could also mean because of the position of those angle brackets. I should move the printer. What I'm essentially doing there'll be threaded rod tied between the top of the frame here and about there to form a triangle, which will stiffen the aluminium plate up significantly. But as part of that process, I'm operating with a hand camera, hold the phone. Anyway, yes, it's see, the back of the frame is fairly bare. The existing power supply used to mount here horizontally. Oh, sorry, vertically. The original control electronics, which was a massive control box that never actually was too flimsy. It was printed with PLA with unoptimized settings, and it always had issues with the walls flexing and stuff. The new one is going to be probably around here. Probably up the right way would be helpful, but try and optimize all the mounting holes and stuff to get those all done. Try and think better, so that I can reroute the wiring better. The new power supply may actually end up on the front there. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, that's a good point. Oh, I'll think about the heated bed towards once the frame's stiffened and that, because that's the main reason for dismantling at the moment, is to get the control box mounted properly, screwed to the frame rather than just being cable tied, because the cable ties used to bind up on the x-axis when the z-axis was moving up and down. But yeah, it's all about refinement. I'll do another review of revisions to the i3 rework, because this was actually the rework printer, or addition to the printer. And the next lot of updates will be, once it's back up and running, I'll be looking at the firmware, because this firmware is nearly 3 years old now. I haven't touched it since 2014. There's been a number of changes, things like bed leveling. There's semi-automatic automated bed leveling, so you can actually use thumb screws. I'm trying to avoid the thumb screws, because the other thing I will be using is I'll be adding a induction sensor. That's another reason switching to aluminium print bed, was for the induction sensor for auto leveling. But that'll be later on. First point is to get the base frames of the system, X, Y, and Z axis all nice and happy before reassembly, and then add. I still haven't decided what the print head mounts are going to be like yet. There are several options available on Thingiverse, but I don't know. I've got several I've downloaded, but I'll be going through that later on. The print head will be one of the last things, but I'm going to try and document various bits of the reconstruction as I go. Anyway, I'll stop this update. It's been probably 6 months since the last one. Okay.